Hello everybody. Now, as I drive my London taxi on a daily basis around the busy streets of central London, I often wonder what London was like back in the time of the First and also Second World Wars. As you venture through London's streets, you will still see lots of evidence of those wars. And in this video, I'm going to be taking you to those exact places to show you the scars of war in London. Let's go and check out to see where this bomb damage still exists. Now, we're just coming up to a stop here, which is on Vincent Street, which just comes off of Vincent Square. And this is actually remains of a fireplace that remained after a row of houses were completely bombed during the Second World War. We're just going to park up here and I'm going to get out the taxi and give you a close-up look of this fireplace. It still remains as evidence of World War II. Right guys, we're here now and I'm just going to be showing you the fireplace that still remains from the houses that were bombed in 1941 during World War II. Come with me. So just behind our taxi here is where the fireplace is, where a row of houses were destroyed in 1944 by a V1 flying bomb. And here it is, guys. In the early morning of August 22nd, 1944, a German V1 bomb struck on Vincent Street. The blast killed 7 people on this street, injuring 9 others, and instantly demolished a row of houses. When the rubble was cleared away, it revealed this. A living room fireplace and surrounded by a chimney breast, and was remarkably with all the damage left standing. Why over 1 million homes were damaged during the war, amongst all the fragments of domestic life were cleared during the post-war rebuild. The Vincent Street fireplace stands as a rare, poignant reminder of what happened on that deadly night. The 2 wars that affected London the most in its entire history were known as the 2 World Wars. The First World War started in 1915 and ended in 1918. And in fact, in the First World Wars, London endured its first ever aerial bombing campaign. The aircraft that were used were known as Zeppelins and also Gotha bombers. These raids killed up to 660 people and resulted in 2,000 injuries. But this did caused the introduction of air raid shelters in London, anti-aircraft fire, and also blackouts. And now we're just taking a right onto St Dunstan's Hill, and I'm going to be showing you the ruins of a church that stood on this street, known as St Dunstan's in the East. St Dunstan's in the East Church was mostly destroyed on May the 10th, 1941. During the German bombing campaign of World War II known as the Blitz. A direct hit severely devastated the church, leaving only structural walls and Sir Christopher Wren's iconic tower and steeple intact. The site was never rebuilt as a functioning place of worship, but instead, in 1970, it got turned into a wonderful public garden by the City of London Corporation. Today it functions as a peaceful overground sanctuary located in the heart of the city. Right guys, so we are just coming up to the beginning of East London, which this particular area would have been heavily bombed during the Second World War. The reason for this is because about 10 minutes from here was where the world's greatest port was, the London docks. And this would have been a major target for the German fighter planes. And the area I'm going to take you now is a place called Mansell Street on the junction of Chambers Street, where it faced a hell of a lot of damage, not only because of the London docks being nearby, but a railway station and railway line run through the heart of that specific area. Just right by it is Tower Gateway Station. And the railways, of course, would have been, again, a target for the German fighter planes. So we're just coming up to the intersection of Chambers Street and also Mansell Street. And as you can see behind me here, all these railway lines that would have been a major target for the German fighter planes during World War II. And just in front of me here, which I'm going to turn the camera around, you can see evidence of World War II. And this is all the shrapnel damage. And what I like about what London does is it does really try and preserve its history, whether it's good or bad. It's always a reminder to people. During the Second World War, peace had ended on London streets. On the 7th of September 1940, it became known as Black Saturday. Starting around 4 p.m. that afternoon, hundreds of German fighter planes dropped bombs in the East London area of where the London Docks is, causing huge fires to the many warehouses and homes of that area. That evening of bombing resulted in 430 lives lost, and up to 1,600 people were injured. This was just the beginning, because up to 57 nights in a row afterwards, London was bombed. During the whole duration of the London Blitz, which took place from September 1940 to May 1941, up to 43,000 lives were lost, and it was said up to 1 in 6 Londoners were rendered homeless after the German bombings. Alright guys, so we just parked up in the Tower Hill area, and the next place I'm going to be showing you is just to my left hand side here. All Hallows by the Tower. The oldest church in the City of London. Although I like to say the oldest church based on its foundation, because this church was heavily bombed during the Second World War. Part of the tower and also the wall survived, which I'll show you as we get a bit closer to it. You can also see how the old wall of the previous church has been joined up with the new wall of the new church because of the extensive damage that was done to this building during the Second World War. Although a lot of things were destroyed in this church, I'm going to show you some of the things that did survive from the old church. Here we have in front of us a 7th century Saxon archway, which somehow survived the Blitz. And just goes to show how well they built things back all those centuries ago. But one of my most favourite pieces that was somehow saved during the bombings of the Second World War was this fantastic piece of woodwork that was developed by Grinling Gibbons. In 1682 this was made. And I'll try and zoom in guys so you can see how intricate it was. How beautiful is that? So that was a wooden font cover that Grinling Gibbons made, and Grinling Gibbons was very famous for his intricate pieces of woodwork. And as you can see there, how intricate that is. Now, what I did mention before was that this church, I would say it's the oldest in London based on its foundation. And let me show you just down here in its crypt that did survive. So if you look here guys, you will see some Roman flooring that dates back from the 2nd century there. Pretty cool, eh? And also I'm going to take you through here, because they have some pictures and paintings that they drew of the events back in 1940. As I say, it's free of charge to come down here, so don't know if you can see that guys. Thank God for night mode. That's a picture there. There's another one here as well of the outer walls that survived. Now we're just going to go back to the taxi and go on to our next spot. Now, as we head to our next stop, we're going to be heading to the area known as Smithfield, which suffered huge damage during the First World War in 1915. When the bomb hit in the area known as Smithfield, it hit in an area where one of the oldest parish churches in London is, and also one of the oldest hospitals in London, known as St Bartholomew Priory. The one thing that it did reveal, though, was something quite magnificent, and I'm going to show you once we get there. Now, as we take a walk through the area of Smithfield, on the 15th of September 1915, a Zeppelin bomb landed in this area, and just to my right here you'll see all the shrapnel damage from that Zeppelin bomb that landed on this particular street. But one of the beautiful things that it actually revealed was this that's just in front of us. But one of the most remarkable things that was revealed during that night of bombing of 1915 was this wonderful Tudor gatehouse.
What it was?
The half timber build above it dates back from the 16th century, and the gatehouse dates back even earlier. But what was actually here during the time of that night of bombing in 1915 was this facade Georgian building, which you can actually see from this picture. Now, when they were actually clearing away the rubble from this Georgian facade building, the authorities realised that there was something actually behind it, and what it revealed was this Tudor gateway, which is the entrance into St Bartholomew's Church. Now, just round the corner from the gatehouse and also St Bartholomew's Church is also a survivor of the two world wars, and it's this house here, which is known as the oldest house in London, dates back from the 1590s, and it's still used as a residential home to this day. So we are now driving along the Victoria Embankment, and I am going to be showing you a memorial, which is the oldest public memorial in London, which is known as Cleopatra's Needle. Now, this road that we're driving on was only developed in 1859, and this was to incorporate a brand new sewer network that was designed by a guy called Sir Joseph Bazalgette. We're going to stop off here, and I'm going to be showing you this Cleopatra's Needle and the scars of war on this particular monument, because it was in fact the first monument to be hit during the First World War. And here we have Cleopatra's Needle. As I mentioned, this is the first monument to have been hit during the First World War on the 4th of September 1917. A 50-kilogram bomb dropped by a Gotha bomber exploded on a nearby roadway, sending shrapnel marks, and which tore right into the monument.
Do this one, Joe.
The ancient Egyptian obelisk thankfully survived. But if you look all around the monument, you'll see all the shrapnel damage from the bomb that landed on this near side road. The corporation decided to leave it here on the stonework and also the bronze, so to serve a permanent reminder of bombing in World War I London. And then you have the Egyptian sphinxes, which are put both sides of the obelisk to defend it. But unfortunately, these sphinxes are actually facing inwards towards the obelisk, where a lot of people say that they should be facing outwards. Maybe in 1914, when the bombs started to rain in, if they were facing outwards, maybe they may not have been so much damage towards them. Our next stop is going to be coming up on our left-hand side. This area to your left is known as the Tabard Estate, named after the famous Tabard Inn on Borough High Street. And just to give you an idea what the Tabard Inn was, that was where the pilgrims set off for their adventure in Geoffrey Chaucer's tale, The Canterbury Tales. Now as we leave the Tabard Estate, I'm going to show you just round here where these black rails are. All along this particular street by the Tabard Estate are these fences, these black fences, which were constructed from repurposed ARP stretcher beds. And these fences were originally emergency stretchers used in the Second World War by the air raid protection. The officers would put those injured during the Blitz onto stretchers and carefully haul them off towards safety. The stretchers were no more than 2 steel poles flanking a stretch of wire mesh and were quick to mass produce. And during the war, many of London's housing estates lost their original metal railings. And these would then transform these stretchers into new fences, as you can see here. Well guys, I hope you found today's video very interesting, and just wanted to give you the kind of backstory and the feeling of what Londoners had to go through during the Second World War and the scars that still remain to this day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.